right. It's December 29th, 2025, and it's midday. I was out here this morning. It was like bleak and dreary. It's still cool out here, but the sun out. And when I was going in this morning, I had some stuff on my mind that like I want to record about, which was primarily, just kind of making note of some of the things that I've been through and why I've made some of the changes that I made as far as how I communicate, my expectations, just a lot of different things because things change so much literally on a day-to-day basis. And I do see value in, you know, recording this stuff, not just for my sake, primarily for my sake, but also for my kids, because if I don't do it, it ain't gonna be there at the end of the day. Like, it don't really matter whatever your desires are. Like, it matter what you do. I've been wanting to lose weight. I've been wanting to do this and that, and like, if I ain't do it, I ain't do it. So it don't really matter what I want to do or what I want to happen. Is what I do. So anyway, I was thinking about that, and specifically with communication. So I think my favorite question to ask people is what they want their life to look like. And I don't know how many people I asked that, but the vast majority of people that I ask that question don't actually answer that question. They start telling me about a lot of different stuff. So, a lot of times I would go back and clarify. So initially, when I would ask that question, I found that I was kind of rubbing people the wrong way, because I would ask what they want their life to look like, and then they would give me whatever the answer was. And a lot of times I'll tell them, that's not what I asked you. So, just taking account of, okay, is it a better way for me to express that? And then ultimately, what am I trying to accomplish? So, the point is not to dismiss whatever they said. The point is to communicate more effectively so that they'll actually give me the answer that I'm trying to get. So is the problem in the question or the answer, right? Well, I don't control how people answer questions. I only control the questions that I ask. So, I think more and more about, like, when I ask the question, what I'm trying to get to is, what these people want their day-to-day to look like. What are some of the things that are important to them? Excuse me, whether that be having home cooked meals or whether that be traveling. Like, if I answer the question for myself, what I want my life to look like is a lot of family involvement. It's a lot of basic stuff, but it's essentially, again, the day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month. So I already know I cannot do everything that I want to do in a single day, because there's too much stuff that I enjoy. It'll just be chaos. Even if I could do it like in one day, I'm not gonna, I do want to sit down and have a meal with my family, but not every single meal, every single day. So, some days I will want the experience to sit down and have breakfast with my family, but not every day. Some days I will want to go bowling, but not every day. Times I will want to be on vacation, times I will want to have conversations about faith, work ethics, so on and so forth. Times I want to teach my kids certain things. So when I say what I want my life to look like, is what does it look like incorporating all the things that are important to me into my routine, to make sure that I'm not neglecting any of those things. But typically when I ask people that question, like, what do you want your life to look like, they will tell me what they want to accomplish. I want to have a house, I want to have this for my kids, I wanted this. So a lot of times when I ask people what they want their life to look like, they actually tell me the things they want to accomplish. So, but what I also realized is that's probably not something I would ask. So it's still value in, even if I miscommunicate or I don't effectively communicate the question that I'm trying to get them to answer, to just let people answer the question, because you get a lot of information from just letting people talk. So I've been more mindful of that. And also, so that I don't create a dynamic where it's confrontational, when I do ask the question and allow people to give me whatever their answer is, excuse me, if the answer is not the information that I'm trying to get, then how to go back and communicate that. So before, and the whole point of this is my growth, right? Because this is how I got to the point that I'm at. Because like a few things. It's one thing that always kind of influenced the way that I behave is thinking about having to interact with a person like me, right? I mentioned it in the past. You know, when I was in the Army, one of my NCOs asked the entire group, so it wasn't like it was directed towards me, but they posed the question: if you had to work with a team of people and all of them behaved like you, like, would that be good, or would you want that? And my answer then was yes, and my answer now is still yes. So being that my answer was yes, I didn't necessarily think about other people. Like, yeah, I would want to work with people like me, but that's because of who I am. I'm not a sensitive person. You know, I'm responsible, I'm reliable, blah, 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 right? But I'm also not the most compassionate or understanding person, so on and so forth. So, you know, I never really thought about the negative side of dealing with me, right? Because I wouldn't have a problem dealing with me. But I have to accept that the vast majority of the world is not like me. The vast majority of the world don't think like me, value the things that I value, appreciate the things that I appreciate, at least to the level that I appreciate it. So, you know, I have to, I can't just be like, yeah, man, I would love having friends like me. I would love having coworkers like me, blah, 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 because that still don't mean I don't need to look at what I need to change to interact with the world, because the world doesn't operate like me or think like me. So that's where I feel like the growth comes in, is when I start thinking about that. Because I used to really just look at my behavior from the standpoint if I would like it, not if other people like it. It wouldn't bother me for people to be direct. It doesn't bother me for people to be direct. It doesn't bother me for people to ask questions. I don't necessarily, like, I communicate for understanding, but if most people don't, and that's what I'm doing, then I have to be the person to make the adjustment in how I communicate to get the result that I want. Because a lot of times it just ends up with me not talking to people, because it's frustrating. But I realize everything applies to me the same way that it applies to anybody else. So what I mean by that is, if it's a certain situation and it's a conflict and you're the common denominator, then you're the problem, right? So from that standpoint, what adjustments do I need to make in how I communicate and so on and so forth? Because a lot of times I choose to stop talking to people, but I also know people be frustrated as hell talking to me because I ask a lot of questions, and a lot of people don't necessarily, like, a lot of people not open. I don't care about people knowing certain things, because it ain't gonna change nothing. You can know everything about me, and like, it's not going to change what I do or what I accomplish. It's not gonna prevent me from, like, I'm gonna be accountable for my actions regardless of who's aware of it, what people feel about it or whatever else. So, you know, I was thinking about that when I went in this morning. So yeah, I need to do more of that. I need to not just think about the areas where there are challenges in my life, but also think about what I need to do to make the adjustment, because the world is not going to adjust to me. Yeah, from a certain standpoint, the people that I deal with, you know, if you're mindful of the relationships you cultivate and you choose to build relationships with certain type of people, you will minimize certain certain situations or the opportunity to have certain conflicts and so on and so forth, but you're always going to have to adjust to the world if you're not dealing with people that are exactly like you, which nobody's like me. So, and I mean, everybody to a certain extent is, well, everybody is an individual, but I think a lot of people get caught up in what's popular. So I heard the kids saying 6'7", like, what do that mean? They don't even know, but people say it. I heard my mom say, bro. I heard my mom say, bro, and I'm just like, man, this is crazy. But that's how society works. The norms change. As they change, the more people that adopt them, the more it becomes a norm, and the more likely people are to convert to doing that stuff. Like, it drives me crazy when I hear my daughters, my nephews, nieces calling, like, calling women and girls bro. But I ain't gonna stop them. But I'll try to be mindful to make sure that I'm not doing that. Like, but that's what it is. And even like saying nigga, you know, that was something that was very taboo at a certain point in time, and it's just people become more and more desensitized to it, where, I mean, I don't even know how big of an issue it is or how big of an issue it's going to be going forward, because it just seems like people care less and less about how they address people. It used to drive me crazy when I be at work and hear some of my co-workers using that word or even behaving a certain way, because with, and I'm not about to go on no tangent about racism, but stop it, it exists. But it's not the cause for every challenge in your life as a black man. But when you see your peers behaving a certain way that feed into certain stereotypes, it does get frustrating. So I just try to hold myself accountable to make sure that I'm not feeding into those stereotypes, being in professional environments, behaving unprofessionally, speaking unprofessionally, like so on and so forth. But I also noticed, you know, angry black man narrative, and I'm antisocial to an extent. And I think a lot of times people misinterpret that as me being mean or standoffish, judgmental, blah, but I don't be like, I've done it so much. Like, and when I say it, I mean just giving so many people opportunity to be in positions in my life that they shouldn't be in, instead of me, you know, observing how they move in other situations. Because a lot of times, just because of my nature to want to help people, when I would help certain people, that's the outcome that they want. So even if they don't really care about me, they'll continue to try to maintain a relationship so they can continue to benefit from my nature of wanting to be helpful and supportive, but they have no intention of returning that. So it's a lot of adjustments that I need to make, but the way that I approached things in the past was just distance myself from everybody, because it being alone doesn't bother me necessarily, even though I'm very vocal about that's not what I want. I want a wife, I want a family, I want that life. That's what I want. But I'm not miserable by myself. A lot of times when I'm by myself, I'm very productive, but I don't necessarily always maintain my focus. And you know, it's stuff I gotta work on, and I continue to do that, and things continue to get better. But it's small stuff, but I'm not finna be overlooking stuff. Like, everything matters, and this matters, because as I'm gonna be I'm gonna be what I need to be for myself. Like the role and the position I play with a lot of people as far as being supportive and giving them advice and really trying to, present different perspective. Like I can be that for myself. And I am, and it helped. Like I'm a hell of a friend, so I could be one to myself, even if that sounds crazy. I remember when I was a kid, it was this song, like I talk to myself when it ain't no one to talk to. And I talk to myself all the time, and I keep talking to myself. But I hope it benefit me as much as it benefit other people. And I mean, it will. It's just, I just thank God. So he's gonna come back to it, because being where I'm at, having the opportunity that I have, I'm thankful. I'm blessed to be here. I cannot be here. It's a lot of people that's not here. Mike and Sophia in the crib, and I was just in there cooking taco meat, and my son walked up and was like, I'm the best dad in the world. But whether he was just hungry, he loved tacos, whatever it is, like, hearing that feel good versus, people telling you that you ain't shit. So, yeah, I got to build myself up, and I got to hold myself accountable. But the potential, I think everybody has unlimited potential. So potential doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is reality. And I'm so excited about the reality that I'm creating. And day by day, just making the most out of it I'm excited. Like, and even saying I'm excited, when I say it, like I hear my voice, but I also hear Brent's voice, because Brent tell me that constantly when we had these type of conversations about what we're gonna do in life, and I be telling him, my plans, and he really be like, brother, I'm excited for you. And I believe that he mean that, and I am, and I'm excited for a lot of people. I try not to start naming names because it's not, I just don't want to leave nobody out. And I know it's too many people that I care about that I don't want to just go down that list and be naming names, and then I'm going to keep on thinking of the next person, because there are a lot of people that can consider me a friend, whether I consider them a friend or not. And that may seem crazy to people, but that's who I want to be. But that don't mean I'm gonna put myself in position to look at these people that have given me no reason to look at them that way. So I can understand them looking at me that way, because I behave that way, and I'll continue to behave that way. Now, I'm not gonna let somebody take advantage of me or continue to let people fuck me over. I did learn that. But like, people ain't gotta do shit for me to be who I am. Just don't cross me. And that's really what it is. And as long as I've been in counseling, like, I'm just getting to the point of, like, doing this has benefited me more than talking to anybody else. It's days where I'm in the kitchen cooking and I'm listening to myself, and it's something that haven't been top of mind, and it just brings it back. So yeah, I'm excited, and I'm glad that God's showing me the stuff that he's showing me, and I'm gonna keep asking God for what I'm asking him for. But I'm gonna focus on doing my part and trust that things will play out the way that they need to. Get all these businesses off the ground. Hope this social media stuff. And I gotta do it for it to be something, and not just this. Actually, like the food review thing. That's what I want to do. Another one of my favorite questions is, so probably, and when I say people, I'm talking about co-workers, friends, time shared, tours, guests, like network marketing people, women that I'm interested in getting on, somebody I match with on a dating app. Like, I asked the question because the question has value for me, because I really do want to know what people want their life to look like, because somebody might say something that I never even considered. And man, you know, I ain't care about traveling before. Even little things like, man, playing games on the phone. I never really, like, with friends and family, playing Sea Battle or playing pool or whatever, even if it's just something little, just to keep in contact with friends, you know. Like I said, I don't want to start naming people, but a lot of things been brought to my attention that can make my life better, and can make me better, because ultimately that's, I mean, your life look like you. Your life look like your daily habits. Your life look like your beliefs, your thoughts, so on and so forth. And I'm not like really mad about how my life look. I'm just not happy with my relationship situation. And I don't just mean romantically. I mean the fact that, yeah, I do have relationships with people, but I don't know if in the past I was actually mindful of like how to actively invest in and cultivate these relationships to develop the ones that you want to have, because you know, the time, the effort, the energy that you put into something is really what's gonna determine what it is. So investing in having conversations, spending time with people, building the relationships that I want to have, and maintaining the ones that I have, because life is life for everybody, and it's always countless things going on in life. But you focus on what you choose to focus on. Like, no matter what the situation is, it's what you focus on and it's what you invest in. And I'm investing in me. So that's what it is.